Welcome to today's collective reading. Begin with doing a clearing with the kyanite and selenite here. We're still working with a bit of discernment as to where we feel things are with assertive energy and receptive energy, depending on the situation, and really understanding how we feel, how we're moving, how we're acting with those two energies. And what we think. Do we want to change that? Do we want to own one part of it, tweak some other part? How do we want to move here? This is a bit of a journey. So for this particular reading, I was called to pull out the Rooted Woman Oracle. Now, the reason I really felt called to this, and it made a bit of sense, is because it speaks to grounding in that receptive energy. Fully grounding that, owning it, maintaining it. And with the tree image here, it implies a strength that's flexible. To be able to sway with the wind and the storms and not break. And maintain that peace, that confidence within self that all will be well. To begin with, we're going to grab us a power animal here. Okay. Just absolutely beautiful artwork in this deck as well. Okay, so, okay, we actually ended up with two. One fell on the floor. Okay. And that could speak to like two paths, or they're supporting one another. So we have the goat. We have the goat and we have the peacock. So for the goat, we have caprice, mischievous, sexuality, fertility. Now what really comes out to me, I'll let you guys kind of maybe be able to read that possibly. Okay, and then the peacock here, just absolutely beautiful artwork. Okay, so there's a couple of symbolic archetypes that can come through with this. You know, we have like Taurus, we have Gemini, we have Aries energy. This is very wind, water, kind of, and it's receptive too, because it seems to be on a feminine face, but there seems to possibly be like an androgynous form of the peacock. The thing that really stands out to me with the peacock is the feathers here. They remind me quite a bit of the symbol of the evil eye. This is a protective aspect, an energetic protective aspect, that any kind of negative energy, thinking, thought, emotion, projection from really any being, timeline, dimension, you're protected from it. It's not sticking to you. It just rolls right off you. And this is a very stubborn protective energy as well. Very headstrong. I mean, the image of the goats that ram each other's heads together, just and climbing the mountains, and like mountain goats that just very creative in how they occupy their space, very stubborn. So these may be power animals that are coming into play. They may be power animals that you already identify with. This particular card represents the beginning of the journey. So these are all your spirit guides, your power animals at the beginning of this journey that started out with you. This path to figure out where you sit with the back and forth between receptive and assertive energies. Boy, I almost said deceptive. And yeah, like where the deception is and where the truth is, and what you want to own is love and light, and what you're like, you know, that's a little too dark for me, you know. it could be both receptive and assertive, as well as positive and negative. But they are not necessarily the same thing. But they are, you're going to feel like interaction between the two, within them, within each side of it. So this is going to be the journey. And whatever card comes out on top, the way the instructions are is to shuffle, and whatever card ends up on top is the card for the collective. I do have some supporting clarifiers to go through as well. So the journey that we have here for the collective is number 13, transformation. So there's a balance here with intuition, shadow work, a lot of emotional energy, transformation of that using the element of water. Very emotional. Like you're sitting in the emotion in this image in order to transmute it. You're looking within, and you're taking the time, the energy to release that so that you can welcome in new. And learning as you do that. Okay. I have an angel card here for this. Okay, and we have listening. So listen to your intuition. Listen to the guidance that comes from the sources that, this is an angel. So it's going to be that intuition that feels right, feels positive, feels good, that is familiar. Okay. And we'll grab a tarot as well here. Now I did bless these ones or do the selenite tap before I began, but I'll do it one more time here for you guys. Okay, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is something that you're very focused on. Very focused on. There's a lot of personal willpower behind this decision and this work, and I think it's apt that this is a setting of a desert. And you're doing the shadow work, you're in a pool of water. This is very intentional. You're going from a space of desolation, transmuting, and bringing in water to have a space for things to grow. Very, very focused. It's beautiful, beautiful energy. Okay, so this is going to be the allies that you have along this journey, and it's receptive energy allies. So do feel free to invert the gender roles at any point. It's all about energy. Woo, okay, that one fell out. So we're gonna do this one. Even though that's not the instructions, if they fall out, that's poignant. Oh man, and look at all these eyes, and you have the owl, and I think that's a deer or antelope. You have the eagle. Old woman of dreams, the maker of visions. This is the invitation to allow yourself to dream. And not just dream in a concept of, well, that's ridiculous, but it's a fun dream. Dream in the concept of making it in your physical reality. Maybe you make a tea. While you have that time when you have your tea or your coffee, allow it to be a time where you go, yeah, you know what? Everything I dream, the things that I want, I am drinking that in. It is coming into my physical being, what I am visualizing. Wow, that is just beautiful. Okay. Oh. We got the angel deck here. Okay. Ooh, got a bit of a headache here. It's a pretty potent message coming through. Ooh, forgiveness. Oh. She's seated on this rock, and she's just got that kind of like forlorn look on her face. This, to me, is about forgiving yourself. Nobody comes into this life, nobody comes into this life knowing everything. There are those among us that are well-known and amazingly gifted to have a hell of a memory of a lot more than most get to. And that's overwhelming. And if you feel that, you know, you're among those people, like where you are aware of more, but you still have space to learn. And as you're learning, you're making mistakes. It's part of the learning process. And your need to forgive yourself for being in this space of desolation and knowing the answer is to transform it, to go towards water, to do the shadow work. This is something that is constant throughout your journey. This is the path. This is the work. The work is knowing that, say you dreamed something and it started to come in and you weren't so sure and it ended up not working, and it was because it wasn't quite right because you have discernment, but then something comes in and it feels pretty on point, but it really triggers you because you were hurt, you were deceived, you were played with, you were allowed to be toyed with, right? Because you were developing that discernment, that awareness of where your boundaries are. Sometimes in learning those boundaries, you end up, things get a little too far. You end up getting hurt. So then you develop this resistance to anything coming in. And that is normal, that is human, and that is being highlighted here because this is the next counterpoint. So you've learned how to shut things down, how to reject them, how to set the boundary. But now you're being challenged to question whether or not you're too firm with that boundary. Are you throwing the baby out with the bathwater right now? Because there's a spark of legitimacy in and amongst a disgusting soup. Being willing to forgive yourself for what you don't know and don't understand and don't know how to do allows you to be open to receiving help from your future self, your higher self, your support team, your support group, your support, you know, your divine. However you relate spiritually with the divine, there are energies that will come in and help you out. But you need to be willing to understand that there is an opposite side. You've mastered shutting things down. Now, how do you weed out the good from the bad and isolate only the good? And not knowing that at this moment, it's okay. You can forgive yourself for not knowing everything. It's okay. And to have that hurt present, this may be a hurt that you need an energy to help you work through it. You can't just, I'm perfect, I'm totally healed, I have no issues and no baggage, no triggers, no nothing. Like if you meet somebody who says something like that to you, just kind of in casual passing or in a brief interaction or anything like that, even sometimes like on a professional level, your intuition will know if they're selling you a story, because everybody has something that they're still working through. It's part of why they are still here. They're still learning. So someone says they've got it all figured out. Like, okay. It's a sign of denial there. They may think they have it all figured out, but they're still here. So there's still stuff to learn, still things to heal, still things to let go. And ooh, that one wanted to come out. Okay, we have the Nine of Wands, which makes sense with the forgiveness card. This is, you've made it, you've arrived. Oh my gosh, are you tired? This is the Wounded Warrior card. This is the, I have a little PTSD. I am a little rough around the edges, but I'm here. That's what this card is. This just affirms that. So, you know, allowing yourself to make decisions, to assertively choose to have that time to give into the visions, the dreams, the taking in that concept that it is in your physical, and not being stuck here. Forgiving yourself for not knowing everything, for being tired, for being worn out, for being a little PTSD triggered when things come in that seem like they are your dreams, but you're so used to them being just bull, that it's okay. It's okay. To be willing to let this go, to move past that. Okay. Now, this is going to be the terrain. To just kind of invite that fun, that smile, that wonder. Your inner child may play a really big role in this part. And you may not be ready to have another energy be present throughout all of it. And then again, you may need that. Say, playing it by ear, but knowing that you are protected. You, by a very stubborn, focused energy, if not this being you, being stubborn and focused. Oh, okay. This is a beautiful card. So island, boundedness and isolation. Okay. I like that there's the humpback whale here on the surface, coming up for air, and it's alone. This is a very emotional experience in your journey, and this could really be a lifelong journey. And most people can resonate with this, but some souls, they come here specifically to really work with this, to help others find their way, to add their bit of wisdom, to aid others in manifesting or overcoming. This could be your soul's journey. And it could just be the part of the mission right now that you're working on, your soul's mission. So the boundedness and isolation, this is telling me that you have been in hermit mode, or you have felt alone most of your life, if not, recently coming out of a hermit state as the coming up for air. And it's just this very like stormy, gloomy energy in the background with, and it's 2, so these numbers may have significance. So this is foundational because 13 turns into 4. This could be about union within self, which makes sense, makes perfect sense. And 2 is it's a co-creation. So there's another aspect of you within you. So, for example, if we're looking at the yin yang symbol, and you're more of the light with the splash of dark, and that's half of the soul, and then the other half of the soul is the dark with a splash of light, like whichever side you resonate with, you feel like islands onto yourselves. You're the little splash, right? And You're wanting to not feel so isolated and alone anymore. You want to have that back and forth communication. But you have all this space in between you and that other splash of the predominant of the opposite energy. So that communication, that connection is being manifested here. And that's because that whale is coming to the surface. And the language that they have, the way that they sing in the water, it's just so beautiful and soothing. Concept is, I remember some documentary, I can't remember what one, but blessing. They said that they could hear the humpback whale songs in the ocean from outer space. And that's amazing to me. And a beautiful concept that our planet could literally be singing. That we're out there advertising to everything this beautiful song, right? Of these whales just communicating. So the angel card, angel healing card here is blessings. So in this process of coming up for air, there's all these little splashes coming off the nose here, right? Everything that you have learned, whether you have been in complete isolation or not, through the collective consciousness, through your soul tribe, through your soul group, they have been learning from you through the physics concept of spooky action at a distance. I wouldn't say necessarily by osmosis, but you are connected to others that have been learning from everything you have done within self and are continuing to do. The coming up for air is, it's time to give this more in the physical instead of in the collective consciousness. In other words, the subconscious. Predominantly for many people, there are more people that are awakening, but most individuals are still kind of trapped in their ego. So you coming up for air here is bringing some of those droplets of water that plant seeds to those that are ready to hear, that have a contract with you for you to give them that seed, that droplet. It's time to come out of hermit mode, to get the two islands together. It's time. All right, if we can get a tarot card here. Ooh, kind of a feeling that there's like a lot of cards that want to come out for this one. Oh, beautiful. What are the chances here? Okay, so this is the Empress card, and it's that number 3, and if you notice, she has a lamp in front of her. So this is Hermit, Empress. This is the Empress coming out of Hermit. She's done her shadow work. She's lighting the way, and she's in full bloom. She's a little more, you know, like, you will probably always remember all of the lessons that you learned that brought you to this state, because it reminds me quite a bit of being still in shadow. You know, you're still feeling this need to kind of be within, but like there's parts of you, many just they can't understand fully, so you just don't share them, but you have so much to offer. So much wisdom to give, to share. There's so much abundance that will come in to mirror back to you the wisdom that you share, the wisdom that you bring, the healing that you offer, that will begin to be manifested in the physical. The more you come out of your hermit state, the more those droplets, those soul contracts to plant that seed that you fulfill. Now, this particular card represents, it's the same card that's on the guidebook cover, but it represents, you know, the end of the journey, where you will be, how you will feel, what it will look like for you at the end of the journey. The imagery here, there are different power animals that are present in this imagery than the beginning of the journey. At the beginning of the journey, which is 1 and the end is 2, so you begin as 1 and you end in some kind of partnership, a co-creation. So we have Raven, which typically it's like magician, manifestation. And then we have the fox, which, you know, they have some characteristics of a dog or a canine as well as a cat. So they're a bit of a shapeshifter. They adapt and move and hunt and all of these things in very unique ways to the fox in particular. They're a beautiful creature. And then at the end here, you have the owl, and the owl sees everything from a higher perspective. They're incredibly sensitive in sight and sound, so this screams your intuition is very elevated. And then it's a white snowy owl. This is going to be like the splash, more of the receptive energy. Then you have the rabbit, which reminds me of the story of the turtle and the rabbit in the race, right? The rabbit can just go ahead, just zoom in, kind of like over the hedge with that squirrel that had a little bit of caffeine. That's the kind of rabbit energy. And then you have the badger over here, or the possum. Sorry, the possum. To know when to play dead, if you will. When to just kind of be like, you know what, I don't need to deal with this right now. It's safer for me to create some disconnect, some space, to allow myself to fully rest on the earth, knowing I'm safe. This is the disconnect, the separation, I'm looking for a specific word. Detach. That's what it is. To know when to detach from all of this intuition and the awareness of this amazing journey and life and all the wisdom, to know when to detach and just be you. And there's a little bit of a hint of a turtle down here, a little bit, but there's a Trinity, there's so much artwork here that it also has the skyline here. So it's as above, so below. As above, so below. So this is like art representing what's happening in the sky. And you just have her here just like, yep, I bridge the two. So, I mean, this is the ultimate goal, the ultimate end result, hope, right? So I just want to grab a couple of oracles for tarot for that. Ooh, boy, that came out right away. So we have the 3 of Cups here. So this has been something that within the union within yourself. So the receptive and assertive and the divine within you, that's present within both the receptive and assertive. All of you in union wants to have this be your reality, wants to manifest that. And you want it now, however. And you want communication now. But that being said, I'm gonna grab a couple of tarot here because I want to know, like, what is this 8 of Wands about? Because it is rapid movement forward. Is this something that's going to be more, I don't know, like, I just feel like a little more detail. So we had some flopping here. Okay. So this particular rapid movement forward or communication, it may not yet be fully ready. And that's because you have a heart that's still healing. There is the solid foundation there, but the heart is still healing. And you have that King of Wands, so there's an energy that's in the process of defeating their ego yet. A assertive energy that's in the process of overcoming that. Or healing from overcoming that. But they are overcoming that, and they are receiving aid. They are being guided to rapidly, you know, they're not just rapidly, the most efficient and fastest way forward possible. And there's this sense of urgency, this sense of, I don't want to say fear, because fear can manifest what you fear if you do not tell yourself this truth. And this is a really tricky and like niche for manifesting. If you acknowledge that you do not want X, Y, or Z to occur, that you fear it occurring, the fact that you acknowledge that in and of itself is, if you own this to yourself or say it out loud, the very fact that I fear X, Y, or Z will happen means I will not allow it to happen, because I will see that it's beginning to happen and I will move differently. I will alter my story, how I move, because that outcome is unacceptable. So this energy, this assertive energy, is healing from overcoming the battle with the ego. And they're doing so in the most efficient way possible, and they are receiving aid. All right. So, thank you very much for allowing me to be the channel for this beautiful message. I am very grateful. The divine within me honors the divine within you. Namaste.